Hey, it's Jamie the dog trainer. Welcome to the channel. Today we've got a really cool video. We're working with an untrained dog, which was something that you guys requested, and we're going to teach her to loose leash walk. She's a 5-year-old German Shepherd named Delta. I've never met her before. She hasn't had any training. She's a rescue. Hope you enjoy the video. For this exercise, you'll need some equipment. The equipment you'll need is a treat bag. You'll need some treats or a food reward. So the food rewards need to be soft, chewy, easily digestible. The other thing you'll need is a leash and collar. Now you can use a variety of different pieces of equipment which help you train your dog. That could be anything from a front clip harness, a head halty, a slip leash. It doesn't really matter. You can also do this just on a leash and collar. I will put up a video at a later time about the different equipment and what their uses are. It's important before you start any walk that you make sure your dog isn't overstimulated. There's no point trying to do training, walking, anything like that unless your dog's nice and calm. So we allow Delta some time to sniff the place, get used to it, make sure she's not overstimulated, make sure she's nice and calm, then she'll be able to walk well, train well. So step one is teaching look at me. Now I've done a video on this already on YouTube, so look at that for some more details. I'm still going to do a quick little demo on this video. So what I do here is I use a marker. I use the word yes. I'm going to reward her for a couple of different reasons. One is if I call her name. The other one is if she voluntarily checks in with me. So if I go, Delta, yes, I'm going to mark and reward. I don't want to call her name too many times. So if I've called Delta a couple of times and she hasn't responded, what I'll do then is I might go, bop, 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 yes, and get a response that way. If I can't get a response even with that, I'll then use a lure. So treat on the nose, up to your eyes. Yes, and reward. Once you've got that, go straight back to trying to get her attention with voice, Delta, yes, and go from there. The other thing you're going to start rewarding her for is a check-in. Yes, a check-in is basically where she voluntarily engages with you. So, yes, just there. So she's turned without me asking, engaged with me. Yes, she's done that there again, and we go from there. We keep marking and rewarding until he's got some really strong focus. You can even see in this small little segment here how much her focus has improved. Yes, as opposed to the start of the video. For more info on the timing of the marker and when to deliver the food appropriately, you should check out our other video, which goes through in detail the look at me cue. I hope you enjoy it. Once we've got our dog nice and focused, it's time for step two. Step two involves you getting the dog to follow you while walking backwards. So once we've got the dog nice and focused, we want to then basically go backwards. So we're going to get her nice and focused here. Yes, good girl. We're going to start going backwards. Yes, good girl. Good. Yes, and we're going to mark and reward for Delta. Yes, if she gets distracted, which is quite possible, she hasn't done this before. Yes, I'm going to U-turn straight away and get her back in position. Yes, so far she's doing absolutely fantastic. Yes, good girl. And we just keep repeating this. You can start to make her work harder. Yes, as we go along. So you might do a couple of turns before you reward her. Yes, good girl. Yes, and once we've got this, we're ready to step three. If she gets distracted, U-turn. Yes, reward her as soon as she comes back in. Good girl. You can really encourage her. I don't mind how much encouragement you give her. Yes, as long as we're nice and consistent. So in step three, we're going to layer in leash pressure. This is a really important exercise because it teaches the dog the difference or contrast between a tight leash and a loose leash. What we do here is we reward the dog for turning off leash pressure. So with this exercise, we do it's actually beneficial if the dog is distracted. So what I do here is if she's distracted, I'll apply gentle leash pressure. I won't say her name. This is really important because I want the leash to be a cue for her to keep on that loose leash. So I'm going to gently apply pressure with my movement. As soon as she commits, yes, and reward. I'll back off the leash pressure as soon as she moves towards me. So I'll repeat that again. Pressure on, pressure off, yes, and then treat. So we just keep repeating this. You can actually start walking along. If she's nice and focused on you, great, you can reward her. Yes, good girl. If she's distracted, mark. So pressure on, pressure off, yes, and treat. And we go from there. We just keep repeating. Pressure on, pressure off, yes, and treat. Until she starts to focus in on me a little bit more. And I'll keep going with this. Yes, as soon as we get that, we're going to mark and reward. So if you're walking along, yes, and she starts to focus on you, this is a really good thing. Good. Yes, good girl. What we're hoping after a while is that as I turn, she tries to beat the leash pressure. Yes, good girl. You can do this with a slip leash, a front clip harness, anything. You can even do this with a normal collar. It doesn't matter. Pressure on, pressure off. Yes, good girl. Good. So we're really making the most of it when she is nice and focused and she comes in with me and focuses, which is good. Yes, good girl. So step four, what we're doing now is putting it all together. We've done our leash contrast pressure exercise. We've also got her starting to follow you while walking backwards. Now we want the dog to walk on the left-hand side. What we do with this, we start with a nice focused dog. We start with them what we were doing in step two, which is walking backwards. Yes, good girl. Once we've got her nice and focused and she's following backwards, yes, we can now get her on the left. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn, yes, and reward her just here. So and then I'll repeat again. I'll go backwards, and I'm going to turn, yes, and I'm going to reward her. So your turn is a right turn, so a right turn on the spot. So you walk backwards, right turn, yes, and then reward her for being on that left-hand side. I'll repeat, she actually hasn't done this before, so this is all new to her, so you're seeing the progression as I see it. We'll go from there. Once we're going backwards and the puppy has mastered this little turn, we no longer have to turn anymore. Yes, what we do is we keep her on that left-hand side. If she gets distracted, just right U-turn. Good, Delta. Yes, and we're going to mark and reward for being in position. I want to mark every time she's on that left position. She gets distracted, U-turn, pressure on, pressure off. Yes, good. And we can mark and reward. You can encourage them to keep in that position, but as soon as your puppy's distracted, yes, you're going to U-turn. Just right U-turn at the moment. I don't mind if your dog's not looking at you as long as they're nice and relaxed. U-turn, yes. And what you can do as well is you can incorporate step 3, which was leash pressure work into this. So as you turn, pressure on, pressure off, yes, treat, and then mark and reward. So we go again, so you get dogs get distracted, pressure on, pressure off, yes, treat. And we just keep going there. We keep encouraging her to be in that left position. She gets distracted, again, pressure on, pressure off. Good girl, good. Good job. So step 5, we start incorporating some further exercises to increase your dog's ability to focus on the walk. This exercise is called left-hand turns. What this does is basically as you turn left, it re-engages your dog. It's really good to use if your dog loses focus out on a walk. You can chuck this exercise in really successfully. So you're out on a walk, you're losing a bit of focus with your dog. What's a way you can get them back? Well, first you can actually give them a bit of a rest, let them have a bit of a sniff and then reset. Or you can do an exercise called left-hand turns. Now left-hand turns, what we do here is we actually turn left across the dog and we reward them as they follow with us. If your dog's not super focused, just start the turn. If your dog is not focused on the first one, you just turn again. Once they're focused, yes, and reward. It is important that if you're doing a left-hand turn, that your dog is on the left-hand side because we're turning across the dog, which is actually encouraging them to focus a little bit more. You can see we've lost a little bit of focus there. Once she focuses back in, we reward her. So lots of left-hand turns. Good girl. Yes, and reward. Once you've got it nice and focused, you can go back into a straight line. You lose focus, back into a left-hand turn. Just be careful not to trip over your dog. Make sure if you're turning that your dog is just in that left-hand position. If they are in front, don't turn left. What you'll do is you'll turn right, so they're coming from behind, then you'll turn left. So once you've got that focus, she'll focus in. Yes, you're gonna mark and reward. Step 6, and our final little step, is another little exercise that I can give you to improve your dog's loose leash skills. I actually do this on a long line, so you actually don't have the pressure of having your dog on leash at all. You start to reward your dog for walking next to you and rewarding their positive choices. The final piece of equipment that's required is a long line. This long line is about 11 meters. You can buy them at most pet stores. You can also buy them on eBay. They're called a dog long line. So as you can see, we've got Delta on a long line. How is this relevant to loose leash walking, you ask? Well, it's a lot actually. So the way this works is if I take my leash off my dog, what's my dog going to do? Are they actually going to hang around me, or are they going to just wander off? If they're going to wander off, there's a bit of a problem there, because how can you expect your dog to walk on a loose leash, on a 6-foot leash, if they're not going to stay within 6 foot of you if you ask them to? So the exercise that we do with dogs with this is called open field following. What we do is the exact opposite that the dog's doing. So if the dog goes left, we go right, and we reward the dog for committing back to us. So say she goes that way, I'm going to walk this way. Come on, Delta. Good girl. Yes, and reward as soon as they come with you, and you just keep walking. So you walk along, you can walk wherever you like, doesn't really matter. Yes, good girl. You mark and reward for them being in position. If they wander that way, we'd go this way. Delta. Come on. And as soon as she comes in, yes, and treat. What we're after a while is that she'll sit in that loose leash position. Good girl. Well done. Yes, well done. You can encourage them to sit in that loose leash position. Good girl. Delta. Come on. Good girl. Yes, good girl. So effectively all we're doing is the exact opposite that the dog wants to do. So if they go that way, we go the opposite way. If she sits next to us, we reward her. Delta. Good girl. Good. Yes. Good job, Delta. Well done. And you can see now we're starting to get that heel position without the leash. Go on, Delta. Good girl. Well done. Good job. Finally, take your time on your walk. You're not going to expect your dog to walk next to you in really busy environments initially. Take it really slow. Take your dog to a park. Do a lot of training before you actually commit to doing full proper walks. And as always, make sure your dog is super settled before you start your walk. There is absolutely no point starting your walk if your dog is whining, overstimulated, and just generally distracted. That's all from us today. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below.